Hey everyone, in episode 4 we're going to cover a concept known as Ret Con, or retroactive continuity. This is where either a DM or a player wants to go back in time and reverse a decision that has been revealed to be consequential in the grand scheme of things. Retroactive continuity can be something that is useful as a storytelling device if we end up in a direction that we didn't want to go. But it can also be really game breaking. It can feel like you're cheating. It can feel like there's a lot of things that are wrong with retconning or retroactive continuity. So we're going to see a few examples of somebody using retcon, and we'll talk about sort of the relative merits of one kind of retconning over another. Let's dig in.
All right, you both are walking through the forest, and all of a sudden, you see this gigantic adult green dragon. Roll for initiatives. What'd you get?
That would be a 25 for me.
And what'd you get?
I got a 20.
Never mind. It was actually a displacer beast. You couldn't see it quite well enough because of the shadows from the forest. All right.
Here we see an example of a DM using retroactive continuity very quickly at the end of that clip to change the creature that the players have encountered from a green dragon to a displacer beast. Now, you can speculate as to the reason for this change, but the problem with it is it looked to me as if the DM changed that only after seeing the initiative values of the players. Maybe he expected them to have lower initiative values, and maybe the dragon had a lower initiative value as well. But when he replaced that with a displacer beast, he was able to achieve the kind of surprise round that maybe he wanted in the beginning. So this is an example of retroactive continuity or retconning that could feel like the DM was cheating. And you could see from the players that they felt a little put out by this use of retcon, even though they didn't say anything. When the players aren't talking like that, that's actually one of the more dangerous varieties of retconning, because the DM doesn't necessarily know that what they've done has been picked up by the players, but later on the players may hold that against the DM if the DM engages in that same behavior again. Let's look at the next example.
All right, the ancient red dragon does its fire breath for 48 points of fire damage.
Oh gosh, man, that puts me down really low. Oh, I'm looking at my sheet. I just realized I had fire resistance, actually. Do you mind if I retcon that damage?
I mean, we already rolled. We were gonna. It's Shaq's turn now. I mean, I guess, yeah. We could do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
We have an example of an acceptable form of retconning. The player noticed on his character sheet that he had a device, a magical ability, whatever it was, that granted him some kind of resistance to the type of damage that he was receiving. He did not ask to go back to the beginning of that battle and to reverse all of that damage. All he asked was that damage that had just been done be not necessarily negated, but lessened because of his magical resistance that he has from that item. And that's a reasonable request. You saw the DM stumbled a little bit on honoring that request just because he was wanting to be fair. But in the end, the DM granted that request, and the player thanked him for granting that request. In the end analysis, that interaction gave the player a little bit more trust in the DM, that the DM would offer a fair ruling, even though it was something that may have cost him a little bit of ethos in the game. The other player did not have a problem with this, or did not voice a problem with this. If it became a habit, however, this behavior would become inappropriate because that goes to the player actually knowing their character a little bit better. So in this instance, if this was the first time this was happening, completely appropriate to ask to retcon some of the damage if you find that you have some reason that that damage would not be as effective against you. And the DM did a good job of recovering, even though he was at first reticent to retcon that damage. Let's look at the next example.
All right, so as you go through the door, make a dexterity saving throw. You just triggered a rockfall trap.
Not one.
Well, then you take 38 points of force damage.
What are you talking about? Like, I already would check for traps, so I would save on rock, so why wouldn't I get advantage?
Well, you didn't say that you were checking, so you just opened the door.
It's very obvious I was.
But you didn't say that.
I can see an example of a really bad kind of player retcon in which the trap was triggered, the roll was completed to save, and only after the damage was rolled did the player actually want to retcon or reverse this decision. That's really kind of too late to reverse any of those decisions, especially in the case where the player did not voice that he wanted to check for traps. So in this case, I, as the DM, would try to keep the player calm and say, okay, I'm going to call out that retcon. That is not a cool thing to do. Here's the reason why. It's just it's a behavior thing that we want to make sure that we squash right away in players as DMs. And as DMs, we want to make sure that we're modeling good behavior with this. So we should retcon as little as possible and only do it when it serves the story. Let's look at another example.
All right. The Fire Priest just took 14 points of damage. Now, Jesse, it is your turn. What does your character do?
All right. I got one priest left on the board.
Yep, the head Fire Priest.
Okay. I'm going to attack him.
Okay. What did you get?
It's a 15 to hit.
Yeah, that hits. Roll for damage.
Awesome. And 5 damage.
He's looking real weak. Shaq, your turn.
Sweet. I'm going to attack with my flaming sword that I got from the local blacksmith.
Come on, we're so close.
That is a 22 to hit.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, of course that hits.
All right.
It's a damage.
19 damage. Fire damage.
Well, you guys killed the priest.
Yes.
But the ancient red dragon that he was serving, you just woke him up since you killed his head priest, and he lets out this mournful cry. He comes and he does his fire breath against you.
Dex
For-
save.
Dex save? Dex save?
For 43 points of damage, you do not get a dex save because it is surprised. 43 points of fire damage, both of you.
That kills me.
That straight up kills my character.
Well, that shows you.
Shows us what?
Here we saw a really toxic kind of DM retconning in which the DM was upset that his fire priest died, and instead of going ahead and allowing the players to celebrate their victory and make things really fun, the DM went ahead and brought in a fire dragon that TPK'd the party, or total party killed the party. TPKs are never fun for anybody. It's good that they're available as an option always, because their availability as an option does make the players behave more prudently. However, this DM betrayed the trust of his players by engaging in this TPK. And you can tell by the end of that video clip that the players are really just searching for some kind of answer. And they wonder why the DM has decided to kill the party over just this fire priest dying. This is really never acceptable a behavior on the part of a DM, and I would like to see it never happen at one of my tables or one of the tables that I support. Let's look at the next example.
All right. Shaq, it is your turn. I believe you're making death saving throws, right?
Yep, failed twice. Anything can happen, right?
Okay.
Natural 20!
No, hold on. You're taking disadvantage.
What?
Because you're in a cloud. You're in a puddle, and you can't breathe. You're face down in the water.
What?
Reroll.
What? That one.
So you are dead. Someone will have to revivify you later. All right, Jesse, we're on to you.
This was an example of a really marginal behavior on the part of the DM. The DM, seeing that the player would have died if he failed this final death save, really should have done his level best to make sure that that didn't happen. Dying is no fun for anybody. And when a player rolls a nat 20, and you could see the player was really excited about that particular nat 20 because it revived him right then and there immediately, right? So it's something where retconning in this instance, even though it might have technically been correct, Shaq's character may have been face down in the water. It still was not a good idea to go ahead and abide by that particular rule at this particular time, especially noting that the player was so excited about having succeeded. Here, it made the DM seem a little bit vindictive, and then when Shaq began to protest, it seemed like the DM was dismissive of his concern. So we've seen a lot of examples of ways in which retroactive continuity can be used. It is a tool that should be used as a scalpel, not a hatchet, right? It can really do a lot of damage to the continuity of your story. It reverses every decision that was made. It's like a time machine restore point, right? It creates alternate timelines in which different decisions were made, and it should really be avoided at all costs, except for people having fun or when you have to do something in order to reverse a mistake that was made, especially on the part of the DM.